early learning and development in babies have anything to do with excellence? Let me talk to you a little about the concept of the circle of excellence. Now, what is the circle of excellence? The concept is like this. If you have an interest in a particular activity, so suppose you are interested in, say, music, right? So if you have interest, you will practice it more, right? The more you practice, the more of an expert you will become. And the more of an expert that you become in your own field, the more fulfilled you will feel in life. The more fulfilled you feel in life, you will again have more interest in that field, right? So it's a full circle. It's a full circle from interest to practicing to expertise to fulfillment, leading back into interest. Now, how does this relate to early learning and development in babies? So what we want to say is that the more exposure, the more opportunities, the more different variety of things that we expose our babies to, the more opportunities we give our babies, right? They will pick up the things that they are interested in, right? So there might be an internal desire for them to be interested in music or in sports or in painting, the arts, drama, creativity, maths, sciences, anything, right? The more exposure we give them, they will pick up their interest. As they pick up their interest, they will want to do it more. The more that they want to do it, the more of an expert they would become, right? The more expertise that they develop, the more opportunities that they will get in school, at home, and they will generally start to feel more confident. They'll feel more happy about what they are doing because they will be able to do it well since they're already an expert, right? The more fulfilled they become, the more happy they become in doing that activity, their interest level will only rise. And that is what we mean. So it's a circle, right? So the better and the more they do it, the more frequently they do it, the more interested they become better. And it's just a continuous circle, and it just goes on day, month on month, year on year, until they become really, really good, top of the class in the area of their field of expertise. I know what you're thinking. You're already getting scared hearing words like expertise and fulfillment and practice when we are talking about little babies, right? It can be scary. We've all been there. I've been there. All of you parents have been there. And we don't want to put any stress, any pressure on our babies. We want them to have lots and lots of fun. We want them to be happy. And that's our goal, right? As we always say, babies actually have a deep craving to learn, to develop, and to be able to do things just like their mothers, just like their fathers, right? So just like how we adults are walking, running, bending, doing all of these physical activities, reading, painting, writing, babies have this deep desire to be able to do all of the same things. But as parents, we don't want to put any pressure on them either, right? So what we are trying to say here is that what we are encouraging all of you guys to do with your babies is not to put them through some rigorous schedule, rigorous training program or anything like that, but just invest in 5 minutes of daily efforts, and that itself will lead to their circle of excellence. Okay, just 5 minutes of daily effort. As Julia Carney says in her poem, Little Things, right? And let me read from her poem. It says that little drops of water, little grains of sand, make the mighty ocean and the pleasant land. So the little minutes, humble though they might be, make the mighty ages of eternity. So what she's trying to say is that all the mighty oceans, all the mighty land in this entire world are in fact made up of little drops of water and little grains of sand. And similarly, even the smallest, tiniest minutes and moments in our lives all add up to create something as mighty and as wonderful as the oceans and the lands of this planet Earth. So, what we want to do is basically invest those 5 minutes, only 5 minutes of efforts with our babies to give them what they desire the most, and that is to be able to learn, to be able to understand the world, and to be able to develop. And once you do that, you are going to spin their circle of excellence and set them on that path which will lead to a life of health, wealth, and happiness as they grow older. So now that we've talked about the circle of excellence, we've also talked about the 5 minutes a day that you need to spend with your baby, doing the activities, exposing them to different opportunities for learning and development. You are probably already asking, what should you be doing, right? Let's think about this. Let's think about how any living organism, whether it's us humans or any other animal, anybody, how do we learn about this world? So when a baby is born, they're not born with the sense of any language, right? So they don't understand any language. They don't know what we are communicating. They have no idea about gestures that people use and what they mean. But every baby is gifted with the 5 senses, right? The sense of touch, the sense of vision, the sense of hearing, the sense of smell, the sense of taste. So they are gifted with those 5 senses, which helps them understand the world around them. And what we want to do is primarily to activate all of their 5 senses so that they are able to understand the world in the best manner possible and as fast as possible as well. Because that will give them the sense, the overall sense of the world around them, right? So what we say at Raising Superstars is that a baby learns in 3 phases, okay? The first phase is what we call the unbox phase. Unbox phase is where your baby learns everything about the world. So they unbox the world, so to speak, and discover everything that is inside the box. So inside the world that they have come into. What is the world made out of? And they discover it through their 5 senses. So that's the first phase, the unbox phase. The second phase is called the out of the box, OTB phase, outside the box. And that's when they start using their own creativity to understand what could be possible, right? So the box is in a certain manner, but can I disrupt it creatively to create something that it does not already exist? And this is what sparks your baby's out of the box creative thinking. You must have noticed, right? If you give your baby a new toy, what do? They smell it, they sort of shake it to hear what kind of sound it makes. They look at it, especially if it's bright and colorful. But ultimately, they also try and throw it, right? Why do they do that? They do that because they want to throw it and break it so that they can disintegrate the toy and see what exists inside of it. So they are curious to know not just what exists, but what are the possibilities beyond the realm of existence, right? And that is what is the OTB phase, outside the box thinking. So the first phase is unbox, second phase is OTB or outside the box thinking, and the third phase is the phase of rest. Rest is where your baby is sleeping, your baby is resting, just calming themselves down, preserving their energies, because that sparks of their thought processes, that sparks of all their creative ideas, and that's where they start to understand the world as they see it, as they experience it, and the world that can be possible, right? That is why if you see all young babies who come into the world, they spend so many hours just resting, just sleeping, right? Of course, they are tired from the new environment that they've come into, but they are also resting because all of the senses that they are collecting, all of the stimulus that they are collecting from the senses, they are making sense of it, and they're trying to see what are the possibilities in this wonderful world that they have got into. So those are the 3 phases of creativity. Of course, we go into much more details about this in our Prodigy Framework program. If you haven't signed up for it, make sure to check it out. The link will be below in the description of this video. Please do sign up for that course if you are interested in learning more about the Prodigy Framework. But now let's move on to our next segment, where we will talk to some of our parents and see what parenting is all about for them and see what we can learn from the journeys of our superstar parents.